My beloved child. At 11:26 last night, your soulmate found something they were never supposed to see. They weren't looking for you. That is what made it worse. They were trying to delete you. Old photographs, screenshots, voice notes. Anything that had survived months after the relationship ended. Your soulmate had finally reached the point where they told themselves, I can't keep carrying this. So they opened an old laptop, connected their phone backup, and started going through everything, one folder at a time. Then they found one they didn't recognize. No photograph on the cover. No date. Just 3 words, do not send. Your soulmate frowned. Opened it. Inside were 23 screenshots, several voice notes, and one document with your name on it. At first, they thought the folder belonged to them. Then they opened the first screenshot. It was a conversation between you and their mother. A conversation your soulmate had never known existed. Their mother's message said, they don't need to know I told you this. Your reply, I understand. Then their mother wrote, everyone is blaming them right now. Your soulmate stopped. Blaming them for what? They scrolled. Your next message was longer. Then let them blame me instead. Your soulmate stared. Read it again. Let them blame me instead. Their heart began pounding. Because there was only one period when the entire family had been angry. The week everything between you and your soulmate finally collapsed. For months, your soulmate had believed you were part of the reason that week became so painful. Their family had believed it too. Yet here you were, privately telling their mother to put the blame on you. Why? Your soulmate opened another screenshot. This one was between you and their sister. You had written, please don't tell them I know. Their sister replied, but this changes everything. You answered, not tonight. They're already carrying enough. Your soulmate whispered, what did they know? Then they opened the third screenshot. And froze. Because this conversation included a name they had not heard in months. Nathan, the person whose actions had almost destroyed your soulmate's relationship with their family. The person everyone believed you had brought into the situation. Your soulmate leaned closer to the screen. Then read something that made them sit down. Nathan had written to you, if you don't tell them what happened, I will. And you had replied, don't contact them. Nathan, why are you protecting someone who let everybody think this was your fault? Your reply came 6 minutes later. Because telling the truth right now would destroy them. Your soulmate stopped breathing for a second. Then, they already think I betrayed them. Pause. Let them. Your soulmate pushed the laptop away. No, they stood. Walked across the room. Then came back. Because suddenly, an old memory was returning. One of the worst nights of your relationship. The night their entire family believed you had exposed a private secret. The night your soulmate looked directly at you and asked, how could you do this to me? And you, instead of defending yourself, had said, "I'm sorry." Your soulmate had never understood why your apology sounded so strange. Now, months later, they were beginning to wonder whether you had been apologizing for something you didn't even do. But that wasn't the biggest evidence inside the folder. Not even close. Because there were 20 more screenshots. And at the very bottom, one voice recording. Recorded by you. 3 days after the breakup. Its title was, "If They Ever Find Out." Before we continue, remember this is an emotional storytelling message, not a literal claim that anyone can know another person's private conversations or hidden actions. But stay with this story. Because your soulmate had spent months believing one version of what happened. Last night, every screenshot began destroying it. Months earlier, the relationship between you and your soulmate had already been under pressure. Not because love was missing. Love was everywhere. Sometimes that was the problem. You cared enough to keep trying long after both of you became exhausted. Your soulmate was close to their family. Very close. Their parents knew almost everything. Their sister knew when you argued. Their cousin Nathan knew more than he probably should have. And in the beginning, you liked that closeness. You wanted to belong. You wanted their family to see that you genuinely cared. But slowly, you realized their family didn't only support your soulmate. Sometimes, they made decisions for them. Their mother worried constantly. Their father wanted practical answers. Their sister defended them whenever they were hurt. Nathan was the loudest. If your soulmate complained after an argument, Nathan immediately said, "Then leave." If your soulmate was uncertain, Nathan said, "You're clearly not happy." If you asked your soulmate for clarity, Nathan called it pressure. Your soulmate rarely agreed completely. But they also didn't correct the family enough. So a story formed. You were difficult. You wanted too much. You made your soulmate anxious. And because the family usually heard about arguments after they happened, they rarely heard your side. One evening you asked your soulmate, "Do they know anything good about us?" They frowned. "What? Your family?" "Of course." "Do they?" "Yes." You looked at them. "Because somehow everyone knows when I upset you." Pause. "Nobody seems to know how many times I've stayed up until 2 in the morning helping you through something." Your soulmate became uncomfortable. "I don't tell them everything." You smiled sadly. "Exactly. They didn't understand." You explained, "You don't call people after a beautiful day and say, 'Everything went perfectly.' You call when something hurts." So the people around you are slowly meeting a version of me built almost entirely from our worst hours. That landed. Your soulmate promised to be more careful. And for a while, they were. Then came Nathan. Nathan had always been impulsive, protective, opinionated. He loved your soulmate like family. But he had a habit of believing that protecting somebody meant controlling what information reached them. One afternoon, Nathan called you. You almost didn't answer. When you did, he said, "We need to talk." About what? About them. You immediately became uncomfortable. Then maybe you should talk to them. Nathan replied, "They won't listen to me." You should have ended the call. Instead, you listened. Nathan told you your soulmate had been offered a major opportunity. A job in another city. More money. Better future. Your soulmate hadn't told you yet. You froze. How do you know? They told the family. Your chest tightened. The family knew. You didn't. Nathan continued, "They're scared you'll react badly." Your face changed. Did they say that? A pause. Then, they said they don't know how to tell you. Not the same thing. You asked, "Do they want the job?" Yes. Are they going? I think so. Your chest felt heavy. You had spent months talking about your future. About finally living closer. About making decisions together. Now, your soulmate had a possible move. And you were apparently the last person being told. Nathan said, "Please don't make this harder." You became angry. I haven't done anything. I know how emotional things get between you. You went silent. Then, you don't know me well enough to say that. Nathan apologized. Sort of. But the damage was done. You ended the call. For almost an hour. You considered confronting your soulmate. Then you stopped. Why? Because you wanted to give them the opportunity to tell you themselves. That evening, your soulmate called. Normal conversation. Work. Dinner. Family. No job. The next day. Still nothing. On the third day, you finally asked, "Is there anything important happening with work?" Your soulmate became quiet. There. You knew. They said, "Maybe." You tried to keep your voice calm. What does maybe mean? I got offered something. Your heart sank. When? A few days ago. Who knows? That question scared them. Why? Who knows? My family. You closed your eyes. You asked, "Why didn't you tell me?" Your soulmate became defensive. Because I knew this would become a whole thing. You went completely still. This? You know what I mean. No, you swallowed. Please tell me what you mean. Your soulmate sighed. I knew you'd be upset about me moving. You couldn't believe it. I am upset that everyone else knew before I did. That is exactly why I didn't tell you. Your eyes filled. No, then, you don't get to create my reaction in your head and then punish me for having it before I've even had it. Your soulmate said nothing. You continued, "Do you want the job?" "Yes." "Then I'm glad you got it." They stared at you. "What?" I said I'm glad. "Really? That hurt." You laughed sadly. "You were so convinced I'd make this about me that it never occurred to you I might actually support you." Your soulmate looked ashamed. But the conversation had already gone too far. The next few days became tense. Then something worse happened. Nathan became involved again. Your soulmate's father was strongly against the move. He thought the job was unstable. Their mother worried. The family argued. Your soulmate felt trapped. And one evening, they called you and said, "I think everybody wants something from me." You replied, "I don't." They laughed bitterly. "You want me to stay?" You became quiet. Then, "Did I say that?" "No." "Then don't make me another person trying to choose for you." That softened them. You continued, "I want you to decide. And if that decision changes our relationship, then we'll deal with that honestly." Your soulmate started crying. "I don't want to lose you." You said, "I know." Then, "But don't stay because you're afraid of losing me." For the first time in days, they felt safe. And then Nathan made the mistake that changed everything. Your soulmate had privately told him something during the family argument. Not a dangerous secret. Not anything illegal. A personal truth. Your soulmate admitted, "Part of me wants to take the job just to prove I can make one decision without everybody controlling me." They were emotional. They didn't literally mean they would make a life decision out of spite. They were expressing frustration. Nathan recorded part of that conversation. Without telling them. He planned to play it for the family. Why? Because Nathan thought if the parents heard how controlled your soulmate felt, they would finally stop pressuring them. Instead, he sent the clip to you first. He said, "See? They need out of this family situation." You listened. Your stomach dropped. Then you replied, "Delete this." Nathan said, "What? They didn't know you recorded them." "No, delete it." Nathan became defensive. "I'm trying to help." You answered, "You're using something they said while upset to force a result." Nathan replied, "Everybody needs to hear it." You said, "No, Nathan, they'll never stand up for themselves." You replied, "Then they need to learn. You don't get to do it for them." Nathan got angry. He threatened to send the recording to your soulmate's father. You begged him not to. He did anyway. But there was a problem. The file was forwarded from your phone. Why? Because Nathan had sent it to you through a disappearing messaging feature. You had saved it only because you were trying to stop him from using it. Then when he couldn't retrieve his original copy, he convinced you to send it back so he could delete everything. You did. Nathan forwarded that copy. And when it reached your soulmate's father, the message showed, "Forwarded from you." The family exploded. Your soulmate's father confronted them. Is this how you really feel? Their mother cried. Their sister became angry. Your soulmate felt exposed, humiliated. Then Nathan disappeared from the conversation. And suddenly, everyone believed you had leaked the recording. Your soulmate called you. Angry. More hurt than you had ever heard them. They asked, "Did you send my private conversation to my father?" You froze. You knew immediately what happened. "No, it's from your phone." "I know." "What does that mean?" You tried to explain. "Nathan sent it to me." Your soulmate's voice changed. "Why?" "He wanted me to hear it." "And then?" You stopped. "Because Nathan had already messaged you. If you tell them I recorded it, their entire family will turn on me. Please." "I'll fix it, ****. Nathan was terrified. Your soulmate's family had been through enough. And more importantly, your soulmate was already breaking. They had just discovered someone recorded a private emotional conversation. If they learned it was one of the people they trusted most, you knew what it would do. So when your soulmate asked, "Did you send it to my father?" you said, "I'm sorry." Not yes. Not no. Just, "I'm sorry." Your soulmate heard an admission. You let them. They asked, "How could you?" Your eyes filled. You whispered, "I never wanted you hurt." That isn't an answer. I know. Why would you do this? You said nothing. Because the truthful answer was, "I didn't," but saying it would expose Nathan. And at that moment, you believed your soulmate couldn't survive one more betrayal. So you let the anger land on you. That was the first piece of protection. Your soulmate didn't know. The family didn't know. Only you. Nathan. And eventually, your soulmate's mother. Because 3 days later, Nathan confessed to her privately. He couldn't handle the guilt. Your soulmate's mother was horrified. You recorded them? Yes. And they took the blame? Nathan nodded. The mother immediately said, "We have to tell them." You begged her not to. She called you. "You can't carry this." You replied, "They're finally speaking to their father again. If they find out Nathan did it, another war starts. That isn't your responsibility." I know. Then, but right now they think I betrayed them. Their mother became quiet. You continued, "They can survive being angry with me." Pause. I don't know what happens if they realize another person they trusted used them too. Their mother said, "But this may end your relationship." You cried. I know. Then why? And you said the sentence your soulmate found last night, "Then let them blame me instead." Their mother started crying. You added, "Just give them time. I'll explain later." But later never came. Because the relationship was already breaking under the weight of mistrust. Your soulmate stopped trusting you. You stopped knowing how to repair something you couldn't explain honestly. One evening they said, "I can't look at you the same way." You nodded. You understood. They continued, "You shared something private." Your eyes filled. "I know what you believe happened." Their expression changed. "What does that mean?" You almost told them. Almost. Then you remembered Nathan's panic. Their mother's request for time. The family finally calming down. So you said, "Nothing." Your soulmate became furious. "Stop doing that." "What?" Talking like there's some secret explanation. You swallowed. Then, "I don't want to make things worse." Your soulmate replied, "You already did." That sentence hurt. Because they were right from their perspective. Weeks later, you ended the relationship. Not because you stopped loving them. Because there was no path forward without exposing everything. And you had waited so long that the truth itself now looked suspicious. Your soulmate asked, "So that's it?" You cried. "I think it has to be." They said, "Was any of it real?" That broke you. You looked directly at them. "More than you know." Your soulmate thought you were being dramatic. They didn't understand those words until last night. After the breakup, their family kept the story simple. You betrayed their trust. The relationship collapsed. Your soulmate moved on. Or tried. Nathan apologized for being involved, but never admitted the full truth. Their mother stayed silent because you had asked her to. And because every week that passed made confession harder. Then other things happened. Things your soulmate found in the folder last night. Screenshot number 8. Their sister had messaged you after the breakup, "They haven't eaten properly in 2 days." Your reply, "Please don't tell them I asked." Then you sent the name of the meal your soulmate always managed to eat when stressed. Screenshot 11. Their mother, "They're thinking about rejecting the job." Your reply, "Please don't let them reject it because of what happened between us." Then, "They wanted this before everything fell apart." Screenshot 14. Nathan, "I need to tell them." Your reply, "Not while they're preparing for the interview." Then, "Tell them afterward if you're going to tell them." Don't destroy something they've worked for because you need relief from guilt. Your soulmate stared at that sentence. You had still been protecting their opportunity. Even after they stopped speaking to you. Screenshot 17. Their mother had written, "They think you hated the idea of them moving." Your reply, "Please correct that." Then, "I was scared of losing them." I was never against them succeeding. Their mother responded, "Then why don't you tell them yourself?" Your reply, "Because right now anything I say sounds like I'm trying to get them back." Your soulmate's eyes filled. They had told themselves you didn't support them. You had quietly been making sure nobody used the breakup to take their opportunity away. Then screenshot 21. The most painful before the recording. Their sister had written, they said they regret ever meeting you. Your soulmate's stomach dropped reading their own old words. They remembered saying it. One terrible night. Angry. Broken. Your reply to their sister was, "Don't correct them." Then, if being angry helps them get through this week, let them be angry. And finally, just don't let them think they were impossible to love. Your soulmate covered their mouth. Because that had been one of their deepest fears. That they were too complicated. Too emotionally difficult. Too damaged to keep someone. And while they had been telling everybody you hurt them, you had privately been telling the same people, "Don't let them hate themselves." Then they reached the final file. If they ever find out, your voice. Your soulmate pressed play. At first, there was only breathing. Then you spoke. I don't know if anyone will ever hear this. Pause. I hope they don't. Your soulmate's eyes filled. You continued, because if they hear it, it means the truth came out. Then, and if the truth comes out, I need them to understand I didn't stay quiet because Nathan mattered more than they did. Your soulmate stopped the recording. Then started it again. You continued, I stayed quiet because everyone around them was fighting over what they should do. The job. The family. Us. Then, for once, I wanted them to make one decision without another person exploding around them. Your voice cracked. So yes, I let them think I sent the recording. There it was. Direct. No ambiguity. Your soulmate started crying. You continued, I know that may have been the wrong choice. Maybe protecting someone from the truth is still controlling them. Pause. Maybe I became another person deciding what they could handle. That was important. You weren't presenting yourself as a hero. You knew your protection had a cost. You continued, but I watched them breaking. I watched their family blame them for wanting the job. I watched Nathan panic. And I thought if someone had to become the villain for a while, I could survive it. Your voice became quieter. I didn't realize losing their trust would hurt more than losing the relationship. Your soulmate covered their face. Then came the final part. The part they replayed twice. If they ever find out, please don't tell them they owe me anything. Pause. Don't tell them I protected them because I'm trying to prove how much I loved them. Then, just tell them one thing. Long silence. They were never as alone as they thought they were. The recording ended. Your soulmate sat motionless. 4 months. They had believed, you betrayed them. You didn't support their career. You created family chaos. Then left. Now every piece had changed. But something else changed too. Your soulmate suddenly became angry. Not only at Nathan. At you. Because love and anger can exist together. They called their mother. It was almost midnight. She answered. Your soulmate asked, did you know? Their mother went silent. That was enough. You knew. She started crying. Yes. How long? She told them. Your soulmate stood. Why didn't you tell me? Because they asked me not to. I'm your child. I know. They let me hate them. I know. Their mother cried harder. Then said, they thought they were protecting you. Your soulmate replied, by lying to me? Their mother didn't defend you. No, then, I told them it wasn't fair. That mattered. Their mother continued, but you were barely holding everything together. You had the job decision. Your father wasn't speaking to you. Nathan was terrified. And they kept saying, your soulmate waited. What? Their mother answered, they kept saying, let them make the job decision first. Then I'll tell them. What happened? Their mother cried. You two ended before they did. Silence. Your soulmate asked, did they really support the move? Yes. Even after we ended? Yes. Then their mother said something that hurt even more. They called me the night before your final interview. Your soulmate froze. Why? You were going to cancel. They remembered. Their mother continued, they told me not to let you. Your soulmate whispered, what? They said, if they lose this because their heart is broken, one day they'll blame the relationship for a choice they made while hurting. Your soulmate sat down. You had been protecting them from regret too. Not simply from Nathan. Not simply from family conflict. From making a permanent decision while devastated. Then your soulmate asked, where is Nathan? Their mother said, I don't know. They found him anyway. Called. Nathan answered. Your soulmate didn't shout. That scared him more. They asked, did you record me? Long silence. Yes. Did they send it to Dad? No. Did they know you were going to? No. Then why did you let me believe it? Nathan started crying. Because I was scared. Your soulmate almost laughed. Everybody had been scared. Nathan continued, I thought your family would never forgive me. And I thought you wouldn't either. So you let them take it? Yes. Your soulmate asked, why didn't you tell me later? Nathan whispered, because every day made me look worse. Exactly. Shame creates silence. Silence creates bigger shame. Your soulmate said, you owe them an apology. I know. No, then, don't contact them unless they agree to hear it. Nathan paused. Okay. Boundary. Then your soulmate added, and I need distance from you. Nathan didn't argue. I understand. Your soulmate hung up. Then looked at your conversation. Your name. Months of silence. They almost called immediately. Almost sent every emotion they were feeling. Then stopped. Because if your recording had taught them anything, it was that intense emotion can make people believe they're making noble decisions when they're really making rushed ones. So your soulmate waited until morning. Then sent. I found the folder, you saw the message. Your stomach dropped. You knew exactly what they meant. Another message arrived. I know about Nathan, you sat down. Then, I know you didn't send the recording to my father, your eyes filled. For several minutes. You didn't reply. Finally, who told you? Your soulmate answered. You did, then, your recording, you closed your eyes. You had forgotten it even existed. Your answer, at first because I thought you had enough happening, then, later because I didn't know how to tell you without it sounding like I was trying to make you forgive me, your soulmate replied. I was furious with you for months, you answered. I know, then immediately corrected. I knew you were, your soulmate typed. You let me. Another message, and the screenshots, then, my mother confirmed everything. Nathan did too, you wrote only. Okay, your soulmate stared at that word. Then, why didn't you tell me, you took time? Yes, then, I thought anger at me was easier than finding out Nathan recorded you, your soulmate read it. Then wrote, you didn't get to decide that for me, you stared. They were right. Your response, I know, pause. That was my mistake, good. Then you wrote, I thought protecting you meant carrying the truth for you, another. Now I think protecting you would have meant telling you the truth and trusting you to decide what to do with it. Your soulmate's anger softened. Because you understood. You hadn't done everything perfectly. You had protected them. But in doing so, also denied them information they deserved. Both could be true. Your soulmate wrote, I still need to apologize, you asked, for what? Their answer came quickly. For believing the worst version of you because it fit what I was already afraid of, then, for letting my family treat you like the problem while I stayed silent, another, and for saying I regretted meeting you, your eyes filled. You remembered hearing that through their sister. Your response, that one hurt, your soulmate stared. Then, I'm sorry, no explanation. No, I was angry. Just sorry. You asked, what do you want now? They took several minutes. Then, one conversation, pause. Not because you protected me, not because I think that creates a debt, another, because I want to finally talk with the same facts, you agreed. When you met, your soulmate placed the laptop between you. You looked at the folder. Then laughed nervously. I really should have named that something less dramatic. Your soulmate almost smiled. Do not send wasn't subtle. No, then the humor disappeared. Your soulmate asked, why did you protect Nathan? You shook your head. I wasn't protecting Nathan. They waited. I was protecting you from one more explosion. That's still deciding for me. Yes. You didn't argue. Then, I was wrong about that. Your soulmate nodded. They appreciated the honesty. You continued, but at the time, your father wasn't speaking to you. Your mother was terrified you'd take the job just to escape. Nathan was panicking. And you looked exhausted. Then, I thought I could fix the truth later. Your soulmate said, but later came after trust was gone. Your eyes filled. Exactly. Then they asked, "Did you really want me to take the job?" "Yes." "Even though it meant moving?" "Yes." "Why?" You almost laughed. "Because you wanted it. But you would have lost me." You became quiet. Then, "I already felt like I was losing you." That landed. You continued, "I didn't want you losing yourself too." Your soulmate looked down. "Why didn't you tell me any of this?" You answered, "Because by then, every good thing I said sounded like strategy." "What do you mean?" "If I said I supported your move, it would sound like I was trying to prove I wasn't controlling. If I exposed Nathan, it would sound like I was trying to make myself innocent. If you asked, did you really think I was against your success?" For a while. That hurt too. I know. Your eyebrow rose. They corrected, "I can see why that hurt." Better. Then they said, "I found the message where you told Mom not to let me reject the job." You looked away. "I meant it." Your soulmate's eyes filled. "I told you how much I still loved you." You stopped. Your soulmate waited. Then, "It would have sounded like I wanted you to rescue the relationship because I had suffered for you." Silence. You continued, "I didn't want that." Your soulmate nodded slowly. Then asked, "Do you still love me?" You looked at them. That question isn't as simple anymore. They nodded. Fair. You continued, "I care about you. A lot. But loving you doesn't automatically mean I trust us." That answer hurt. But your soulmate accepted it. Then they said, "I don't want you to trust the old version of us." You looked up. They continued, "If anything ever happens again, it has to be built from now." That was different. You didn't reunite that night. Good. Instead, you did something you should have done months earlier. You told the complete story. Then your soulmate told theirs. They admitted that when the recording leaked, they already felt afraid you didn't support them. So they accepted the simplest explanation. You admitted you sometimes believed you could protect people by absorbing pain silently. Your soulmate said, "Don't do that with me again." You almost smiled. "You don't want me secretly sacrificing my reputation?" Surprisingly, no. You laughed. Then they became serious. "If something is going to hurt me, let me know it's coming." You nodded. "And trust you to handle it?" Yes. That was new for you too. Because protecting someone can become another form of control when you decide which truths they're allowed to face. Weeks passed. You kept talking. Slowly. And something changed. Your soulmate stopped telling everybody every relationship problem. Not because they became secretive. Because they understood the difference between support and outsourcing the relationship. When an issue happened, you heard about it before Nathan. Before their sister. Before their mother. And you changed too. When something difficult involved their family, You told your soulmate directly. No secret agreements. No private deals with their mother. No taking blame. One evening, your soulmate said something careless that hurt you. Your old instinct. Protect them from guilt. Say, it's fine. Instead, that hurt. Your soulmate became quiet. Then, okay. Not, I didn't mean it. Not immediately. They asked, tell me why. You did. The conversation lasted 20 minutes. Then ended. No third party. No secret screenshot. No folder. Just honesty. My beloved child. Your soulmate found evidence last night that you had been secretly protecting them all along. At first, it looked romantic. Screenshots. Messages. Private conversations where you defended them. Proof that even while they were angry with you, you were protecting their job, their family relationships, their confidence. Then came the biggest proof. The recording everyone believed you leaked. You didn't. Nathan recorded it. Nathan sent it. And you let yourself become the villain because you thought your soulmate couldn't survive another betrayal at that moment. That was love. But it was also imperfect love. Because eventually, your soulmate had to tell you, you didn't get to decide what truth I could handle. And they were right. Sometimes protecting someone means standing in front of the damage. Other times, protecting them means trusting them enough to see the truth. The real revelation wasn't simply, you secretly protected them, it was, even after they misunderstood you, you still cared about what happened to them, you didn't sabotage the opportunity. You protected it. You didn't tell their family they were impossible. You told them not to let your soulmate hate themselves. You didn't try to turn their pain into a reason to return. You stayed away. And when their sister told you your soulmate regretted meeting you, you didn't attack. You said, let them be angry if that's what they need right now. If this story touched your heart, comment, I choose love with truth. Not as a spell. Not to make anyone discover secret proof. As a reminder. You shouldn't have to destroy yourself to prove you love someone. You shouldn't have to accept blame for things you didn't do forever. And someone who truly cares about you should not require hidden sacrifices they never get the chance to understand. Your soulmate spent months asking, how could they do that to me? Last night, the question changed. They looked at 23 screenshots. One recording. Months of quiet protection. And finally asked, how much were they carrying without telling me? But maybe the strongest answer isn't that you carried everything. It's that now, neither of you wants that pattern anymore. No secret protection. No hidden blame. No third person controlling the truth. If something hurts, say it. If something happened, name it. If someone crossed a boundary, bring it into the light. Because love isn't strongest when one person silently suffers for the other. Sometimes love is strongest when two people finally trust each other enough to carry the truth together.